Hi, welcome to Inkscape for Teachers. I'm Geoff Phillips, and in this tutorial I'll be showing you how to produce a table with some couple of cool effects to jazz it up. Now let's start with a blank Inkscape file. And the first thing I like to do is to draw a rectangle. Don't worry too much about the size, just get it roughly right. You can see I've got looks like a slightly opaque, slightly translucent red filling that's not completely opaque. If I go down to my fill and stroke menu, I can see the opacity is down there. I can drag that up if I want, leave it where it is, or just click the red cross to get rid of the fill. Shift click black to put a black stroke on it. Looks like it might have already been there, but it's quite thin again, so I'm just going to have a look at the stroke paint, and under stroke style you see 0.265, that looks reasonably thick. I'm going to change that to, let's make it 0.5, I'll drag over it to change it directly and enter. Again, that doesn't look particularly thick on screen, but if I press 1 to zoom, yes, I've got 1:1 zoom, so that's okay. Maybe if I change it to 1 mil thick, it might look a bit better on screen. Okay. Now that's interesting. It's black fill, but it's looking grey. So if I look at the stroke paint, you can see the opacity is down. That's probably why I couldn't see too much before. So if I drag that up, yep, that's a bit better. If I click away, yeah, maybe that's a bit thick now, so I'm going to change that to go around in circles here, but these are the sorts of things you encounter in Inkscape. The stroke style, and I'm going to compromise with a 0.7. Enter there, select tool, click. Okay, that's alright. Now, clicking on or selecting that rectangle, you'll see that the dimensions appear here, width and height. I'm going to change the width to 90. You don't have to stick with this to the bitter end, but it helps for dividing numbers of columns and things to have convenient numbers. So, say height of 90, width of 90, width of 60, height of 90, sorry. And that should be right. Enter. No, I had it round the right way in the first place. Width of 90, height of 60. People are probably thinking, who's this bumbling fool trying to teach me anything? Okay. Now I'm going to click the Bezier pen tool, and let's say I wanted 3 columns. I can click. I'm trying to snap onto these vertical lines and draw over them, but it's not snapping, so I'm just having a look up here now. If I snap to paths, click, turn that on. Yes, that is on. Just saying, maybe over here, snapping tools. No, it's a bit of a delay. I'll click that, wait. Yeah, I think that's now working. If I click, yeah, click, and enter to stop. So there's a line on top of that left edge of the rectangle. I'm going to try and move that. That's the transform menu. Control-Shift-M to bring that up if you need to. And if I scroll up to see all of that, under the Move tab, I'm going to move that to the right a third of the way, which would be 30 millimetres. But before, so I was going to duplicate it first, but I don't have to because it will leave the border of the rectangle behind. So click Apply. There we go. Now Control-Duplicate, Apply. I've got my internal borders there. I can thicken those lines up later if I need to. Let's do the same for the top. If I click and click Enter, put a line across the top of the table. I want to go down the page, so that's a vertical movement in the negative, so make it -10. So it was 60 deep, that'll be 6 rows I'll be able to put in. Apply. Now you notice what happens, I've left the horizontal movement, so Control Z, I'll wipe out that horizontal movement, now apply it. Control D to duplicate, then apply, Control D apply, Control D apply, Control D apply, and so on. I'm going to select this first row down and thicken that up to the 0.7, the same as the outer rectangle. Here we go. Now I'm not sure how thick I had the rectangle values in my finalised table. This is what I'm aiming for. They're pretty thin, the individual ones. If I click on that, I'm going to see that under stroke paint, stroke style, sorry, it was 0.265, so that's probably right. I'll go back to the first file. I click on that, 0.265. Alright, I might just zoom in a little bit. That's pretty much the table completed. I might like to group all of that. Drag a marquee, Control G to group, and then I might want to put some headings and things in. Click on the text tool, doesn't matter where you type the heading, we can move this later. Heading 1, that obviously looks a bit big to fit in here, and even though it fits, it looks a bit awkward. So Control Shift to shrink that down to a reasonable size. Might be still a bit big, but whatever suits. Just drag it down a little bit more. It's hard to get it to exact, so I can scale it, but or I can zoom right in, and it might be easier to scale that way. Mouse wheel and Control to zoom. Control D to duplicate that, and Control to drag it horizontally. Control D, Control drag it horizontally, so you can set that all up pretty easily. You can use the Align and Distribute menu. I did that when I was practicing for this tutorial, but look, I think you can eyeball it pretty well as well. I mean, you can do things like Shift click to select the 3 headings. I should change some of them to headings 2 and 3. Then the Align and Distribute tab, which is this one up here, and distribute that vertically. Might make a little bit of difference, but sometimes the exact distributions don't look pleasing to the eye, so it's equally good to eyeball it in situations like this. Now I can fill with numbers the same sort of way by just clicking text and putting in a 0. I use 0 because it's a pretty representative value as far as height and thickness goes. Again, looks a bit big in there. Control Shift and, or maybe zoom in. Control Shift and zoom it and drag it to that size. Zoom back out again. And you can Control D to duplicate that, and then Control drag, Control D, Control drag, Control D, Control drag, Control D, Control drag, and Shift click to select them all. Control G to group, duplicate the group, Control D, and Control drag across for your other values. Control D to duplicate, drag across. You can change these, there are different ways. You can double click, but I think the easiest is to click on the text tool again. That just lets you drag over values, and you don't have to keep doing it. Going back to the toolbox, you can just go to other items in the table, and it latches onto the text and lets you highlight them and drag across with the I-beam. I'll skip one just for the heck of it. Start the last column with double figures, see how they look. Click on the select tool. Now the good thing about doing things in Inkscape, you've got full flexibility with then shading individual cells, putting different borders around cells, all sorts of things. I'm going to click the Bezier pen tool and highlight this cell that's got the 0 in it. I could have equally done the rectangle tool, I've just realised, but click my way around, waiting for the nodes to lock on. Now it didn't, so I'll just double click to finish there and zoom in to show you my error. I click the node tool here. So I click the node tool here. That node I must have missed, so I'll just drag that down. It's probably snapped onto that path preference. So I'll take the path snapping off and put intersections on. That might help here. That worked. Even down here you can see I've marked up slightly. Yeah, I think I'm 0 out of 4. But anyway, we've learned about the intersection snapping tool. I should have just used a rectangle. Control to zoom out. But I have created another path. I don't need a border on top of a border, so I'll shift click the red cross for no border. Now I'll just simply plain click the yellow to produce that. You might think, well, that's a backward step. I can't see the 0 anymore, but you can send that to the back by page down, or this icon up here. Try page down. There we go. And we've got the 0. Now, did that work? I'll just try that icon. Yeah, I might have had to do it a couple of times. If I go, this one goes straight to the bottom. I think page down just goes one layer, and I have to do a few layers to get down to the bottom there. Okay, what else can we do? You can label arrows to highlight particular cells, click or enter. Change the stroke, which is shift, to click on red, picking it up in the stroke style menu. Just click the arrow if you just want to see how it looks as it builds up. Put an arrow on the end. Some of these arrows look gigantic if you click on them, that's far too big. So you have to scroll down to find something suitable, perhaps something like that. Yeah, that's okay. There might even be smaller ones, like that. Oh no, that was pretty much the same one. No, that's not what I wanted. Or so small I couldn't even see what I was doing there. I'll leave it on that one for now. We can type different, text pointing out. Can't even spell value. Equals 3. This is meaningless. Just doing this for the sake of finding some texts. Click on it a second time, you can rotate things around and label things. I can even change the stroke style, the fill of the stroke to red. Another nice effect, or a couple of things I can show you. Some of us might like to circle a value. I mean, you can use the ellipse tool if I want to circle the 12, for example, something like that. If I take out the fill and leave the stroke, looks a bit too exact. I was fiddling around before with this effect you might be interested in. Control zoom. If I go path, object to path, and then click the nodes tool, I've got 4 nodes. I can click that top node and break apart that selected node. I think then you have to go to path, break apart. If I select it again and click the node tool, I think then I can move this. Yeah, you'll notice there's some snapping that snapped it back, so I'll turn off all snapping in one hit with this icon over here. It takes a while to take effect, that's what put me off before. If I drag that one down a bit, and that one up or across, looks a bit more like someone's scribbled that on a calendar. You can adjust with these gradient handles, click there. I might just move that up a bit more. And click select, zoom out, looks a bit more like someone's done it with real handwriting. One final effect is to put a drop shadow. Now I'm going to click the rectangle tool. No, it's not snapping, so I'll turn snapping back on up here. The rectangle tool, I'm going to drag that rectangle. No need for a border, so I'll click shift and the red cross there. I'm going to fill that with white to put that behind the text, what's in front of the text. If I click send to back, select tool, then send to back, it goes to the back. I'm going to duplicate that, Control D. Oh, I've done Control Shift D, sorry, which has put up another menu. Control D, and it puts it on the front. I'm going to turn that to very dark grey. I'm just going to drag this corner with Control. Still snapping. Turn the snapping off again. And just drag Control, that make it a bit bigger. Now I'll send it to the back. I can use the arrow keys for finer control if I want to move that a bit to the left. And I can apply a nice drop shadow as well. I'll find the stroke paint. Is that under here? Oops, sorry. So a blur, stroke paint down here. I'm going to add only a very small blur, 1-2 clicks is probably enough. And click over here. That's a nice drop shadow effect. It's a little bit of a shadow on the left. I think I quite like that, so I might leave it. But you can click on that and move it across a bit with the arrow keys if you prefer. I'll just try and see what that looks like. It looks like nothing because I've clicked on the wrong thing. I'll zoom in and click on that one. Now I'll zoom out and move it across to the right. You see that takes it away from the left there. I think I like it as it was, a little bit on the left there. So I'll leave that. Okay, I think that's about it. I'll just double check by looking at my earlier file. Just looking at that compared to the next one. Oh, I see. Yeah, I changed the font there to make it look a bit more like handwriting, but you can experiment yourself with different fonts by clicking. And, well, I'll just show a quick example. Text and font menu, Control-Shift-T. If I scroll up, so where's that? Text and font. And you can try different fonts. Just click on it and apply. That looks a bit ridiculous, but I think it was Lucinda handwriting that I did on the other one. May as well see if I can find that now. That one there, and apply. Yeah, that's the one. So look, you can really jazz up your tables and make them look publication quality if you're doing notes or tests. Gives you a lot of power being able to do tables using Inkscape because of all these extra annotations and so forth. Now I'll just drag around all this marquee and Control-C, go to Word. I'll just delete what I had here and Control-V to paste into Word. You might have noticed, like I just have, that the drop shadow on the table, once it was pasted into Word, has lost the blur. It's gone back to a sharp shadow, which is not what I wanted. So I'll click on that in Word and press Delete, return to Inkscape and show you another way of preserving the formatting more accurately. If I select the part in Inkscape that I want, if I don't do this it'll do the whole image, then go to File, Export PNG Image, and over on the right here the various information and parameters come up. You can see from my practice run I've already put in a file path, so I'll leave that one, but you can edit that and click Export. Having done that, I'll minimise Inkscape and I'll restore Word, and I'll find the file that I exported. I exported to the desktop and called it addendum, so I'll drag that into Word and maximise Word again, and you can see that the drop shadow has maintained its blur there. Notice I missed the word over here. I mustn't have selected it fully, but you get the idea. Once again, thanks for watching.